Today I'm going to start the process of making chickpeas. I would like to roast them in the oven with cinnamon and a little bit of honey. So the first step is to take the dried chickpeas and rinse them in water. Not rinse them, sorry. Soak them in water for 8 to 10 hours. So it's good to do it overnight. And I'm going to actually pour them onto this cookie sheet just to make sure there's no little stones or rocks. I measured out about 2 cups. I'm just going to pour them on the tray. And then I'll go through them and look for little rocks here. Okay, that looks pretty good. I think I'm going to make 4 cups. So I'll put this first batch and I'll transfer it over to the bowl that I'm going to put the water in. I decided to do 3 cups, so this is just 1 cup poured out because these will expand, and that is quite a bit already. So they're all rinsed off, so I'm going to transfer them back into this bowl, and then I'll cover it with quite a bit of water. Just to let you know that, yeah, it absorbs so much water, so you should really fill it right close to the top. Alright, so the chickpeas have been soaking overnight, and what I'm going to do is pour them into this colander and rinse them with water, and then from there I'll transfer them into the slow cooker and fill it with water. This is the point that they really start to smell, and when I cook them in the crock pot, they're going to smell as well. The only time they smell good is when they're roasting in the oven. Well, that's filled right up to the top. Just going to add the water and get it going. So I've got them in there, and I'm going to turn it on low and let that go for, I believe it's somewhere between 8 to 12 hours. I'm going to have to take a look on the website, and also I'll test them through it when it's getting close, because if you overcook them they turn mushy a little bit and they fall apart, so I'll have to keep an eye on them near the end. I'm going to probably use half of it tonight to roast some in the oven, and first I'm going to need to remove the outer skin. It's fairly easy. You just use your fingers and give it a squeeze and it just comes right off. It is time consuming, but I prefer these instead of the ones in a can. They just taste a lot better this way. So I'll be here a little while getting this done. Oh, that took a little while, but it's done. So here are the ones with the skins peeled off, and there's a big pile of the skins there. I'm going to throw them away, and I would say I peeled probably a little more than half of all of them. So I'm going to sprinkle them with cinnamon and a little bit of olive oil or canola oil. I'm not sure, I'll have to look that up. And then roast them in the oven, and then I'll put honey on them the last 5-10 minutes. Alright, I've got the oven preheated to 400, and I've just used paper towel to sort of get some of that moisture off them. And I have a mixture of canola oil and cinnamon. It's pretty thick. I have quite a bit of cinnamon in there. I'm just going to drizzle it onto the chickpeas and toss it. Even though I toss them, there's still some, look at that, at the bottom, quite a bit. So I'm going to just take the spoon and gently toss them around with that, and then throw them on the baking sheet. They're looking good already. Alright, so I'm just going to pour them on here evenly. And then I'll flatten them out. You want to make sure they're flat because you want the bottom of the pan to be able to touch and roast them nicely. That way they get really crispy. Whoops. Okay, looking good. And I judged it pretty good. I have the perfect quantity on here. Fills it right up. Alright, so I'm going to put them in, probably just start with 20 minutes and then I'll start to turn them after 20 minutes. Take about an hour to cook, so you really have to keep your eye on them near the end especially, because you have to be very careful not to burn them. However, you want them crunchy, so it's a really slim window of time between when they aren't crunchy and then when they burn. So you just have to be careful with that, but they're totally worth it. So they've been in for about 40-45 minutes. I've came and flipped them quite a few times. When you start to hear that loud noise, as if they're like a little rock, you know they're getting close. So what I'm going to do is put some honey on them and toss them in a bowl, probably in the next 10 minutes or so, and just get them back in for 7 or 8 minutes and they should be done. Wow, they really shrunk. So I just put some honey in there. I tried not to put too much. I tossed it around and not a whole lot of honey, but it'll be enough. So I'm going to put them back on the cookie sheet and put them back in the oven for 7 or 8 minutes. And they're done. Just on the verge of being burnt, but they're perfect. I'll let them cool down and then I'm going to put them in a airtight container.